Hey, what's up guys? In this video, I'm going to show you how to mix epic guitar solos and leads for rock and metal. And the best news is that it's very simple and you can use the same basic template and approach in pretty much any song. So we're going to dive directly into it. Let's check out this solo. This is a song by the band Mandroid Echo Star. So there's the solo. Let's check it out with no plugins and no effects. So first thing we want to do with a guitar solo is use some EQ to help it poke through the mix and sit above a little bit. So here's our SSL channel. First thing we're going to do is cut out all the low end that we don't need. We don't need any rumble below 200 hertz, so we've got our high pass filter there. Especially where he does those, I don't know what they're called, but you hear kind of the low strings, the low kind of muffled palm muting sound. Right there. Hear how the low end mud there? And there, now check this out. In the palm mute sections here, without the filter. And with. A lot cleaner, so that's pretty obvious. Now, pretty simple moves otherwise on the EQ. The most important one here is going to be the mid-range, or I guess high-mid boost. And this one's at 1.3K, so usually it's somewhere between 1 and 3K. Sometimes it's more around the 2K range. In this case, 1.3 helped it stick above the main guitars really well, and we're doing a 3 dB boost here. And then we're also just doing a high shelf, so boosting everything above about 3.5K just by 2 dB, so not as aggressive there. This is the move that's really making it cut through the mix. So let's A-B this out of solo. Without the mid-range. Okay, so that's helping it just sit above the mix brightness-wise and giving it that extra mid-range boost to poke through the other guitars and layers. Then from there, we've just got a simple limiter, the L1 by Waves. I like how this just kind of really nails something down in place, and it's not really working that hard. Check this out. So you can see when he gets to this higher notes, it's not really doing anything, but because we're using kind of a beefier tone and he's playing on the neck pickup here, we get a little bit more low end buildup on certain notes depending on where he's playing. So when he starts off lower here, you can see even the waveform is bigger and here it gets thinner. So this limiter is just really, in a really final way, just kind of making everything just a really solid, consistent volume all the way through, which you definitely want for a solo. You don't want the listener trying to struggle to hear a part of the solo. And then on top of that, of course, we automate to make sure, again, just like a lead vocal, that every note's going to come through the way it should and be consistent volume, but the limiter really helps a lot with that. You'll notice it, again, like we just saw right here, and then also towards the end when he starts getting back to the lower strings, when you get some more of that low end buildup, the limiter is just going to keep it all consistent here. Especially right there at the end. Let's do an A-B. Does a good job of really just making sure those quick little bursts of low end and kind of spikes of the low end rumble there don't stick out and sound harsh or annoying to the listener. It's just all very smooth. So that's what we got in terms of EQ and a limiter. So very simple. It doesn't take a lot. Now let's go to the effects side. The first effects send I've got here is a split harmonizer. So basically this is kind of like an artificial doubler of source, kind of using a coarse effect. So I'm using the Soundtoys little micro shift in this case. You can also just use a pitch plugin. I used to use this pitch plugin in Pro Tools, just the stock pitch plugin. And what you do is you make it stereo and you just have it detuned a little bit. So see how it's -9 here on the left and then +9 on the right. So it's just tuned and slightly delayed. So 21 milliseconds delayed on the left, 30 on the right. So you're just basically creating copies of it left and right that are slightly off time and pitch-wise from each other, and that creates that kind of coursey, widening harmonizer effect. Microshift does a good job of a similar thing here, modeled after an old analog piece. So let's check this out. First, I'll play it without this effect on, and then I'll unmute this end. So listen to the sides, listen to the stereo width. It's a little bit subtle. I'll turn it up a bit and then put it back in where it is. Now, if you use too much of this, it can become obvious and a little bit cheesy, but just a touch of it just helps to widen the guitar sound there and give it a nice kind of soaring sound, as does this stereo delay. So again, let's A/B that. Here's my return here. You can hear the echoes there, and this is just a stock Pro Tools plugin. We're using eighth notes on the left and quarter notes on the right side, so it's a little bit of a ping pong, and again, having the difference between left and right gives it that width. Usually it's on quarter notes. This time I did eighth and quarter just to give it a little bit more spread, and it's pretty subtle in this mix. Sometimes I will use a little bit more of this delay on a lead, but in this case, as you can hear, there is a little bit of just mono delay up the middle. Sounds like a quarter note that was just baked in. I think we're using an Axe Effects here, so we probably just put a touch of delay on that. So there's a tiny bit more ambience. If it wasn't for that, I probably would use a little bit more of this instrument delay here. And those two things combined, the split harmonizer, aka kind of the coarse doubling effect, and this ping pong delay, or you can think of it as just a quarter or eighth note delay that's stereo, is really helping to just give this more of an epic vibe. Notice I don't use reverb. I don't know, I just find it clouds things up in the mix. I kind of only use it when there's lots of space, like something a lot more sparse, or if I just really need it to be over the top, like an over the top epic kind of reverb effect. But otherwise, just using delay like that. So check out what these effects do. Pretty simple, little EQ to get it a little brighter and a little mid-range boost to poke out, get rid of the low end stuff that you don't need, and then little doubling effect to spread it out in the stereo field and some stereo delay. I'm going to show you one other example here just to show you how you can apply this across different songs, and I've used this same mix template. All these mix sends and returns here are basically imported from my mix template, so I'm using these across really almost every single mix I do, and it all stays pretty consistent. So let me show you one more song here. All right, so here's one more epic solo for you. I love this one. This is actually the same band, but there are a couple years separating these mixes. So this one's actually a little bit earlier, but you'll see how this is basically the exact same approach. All right, so pretty epic solo. I had to play that whole thing for you. But this one, you'll see, is basically the same approach, and it's even simpler. So real quick, let's just walk through the chain here. We'll disable the effects. By the way, the harmony and the lead here, this is harmonized the whole time. They're both treated basically the same. So let's check out the main solo here. So this one, we're not even doing any boosting. All we're doing is cutting out the low end at about 100 hertz here. Now, we didn't have to go quite as high as I showed you on the last song because we don't have as much of kind of the low kind of stuff in the solo. On the harmony, you see we put it up a little bit further at 160, but again, just getting rid of the junk. Just focuses it a little bit. And the awesome thing is that in tracking this, we got a tone that didn't need any mid-range or high-end boost here. So we're good that way. It's really poking through the mix fine. And then again, same thing as before, we got the limiter just doing a little bit of work. Not doing much, but you hear that sounds a little bit dry. So again, we got the same thing going on. Split harmonizer. Let's check this out. Here's our return here. So this time, like I explained, I am using the pitch plugin. Same settings I showed you. Here's what it sounds like cranked up. So again, just in there subtly to spread it out a bit. And then our delay send. This time using the H delay. And again, it's a ping pong with a quarter note. So I believe that'll be a quarter note and an eighth. Or maybe with this plugin, it might be quarter and a half note. A quick delay on one side and a slightly shorter one on the right. Here's both effects muted. And back in. And that's all there is to it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tip on how to get epic guitar leads and solos in your mixes. If you want more of this, then make sure you subscribe to this channel. Check out some of the other videos I've got here. But also, if you want to go further, if you want more exclusive tutorials to go deeper in all this stuff, then definitely sign up to my email list. That's where I send out all of my best content and go beyond just mixing tutorials like this. We talk about business, mindset, setting up your own studio, getting clients, all that type of stuff. So to get started there, I want you to go to makebetterrecords.com. I've got something there I think you'll like. It's a mixing cheat sheet. And basically what that is just a chart showing the ideal starting points. Now, this is not a formula for every mix. It's a starting point for EQ and compression settings for every track in your mix. And that will just help you get started on the right foot. You'll know kind of what the go-to points are in the frequency spectrum when it comes to boosting and cutting on different instruments. And it will really kind of just get you on the right track and help you skip past kind of the guessing and second guessing and confusion, and just knowing that your mix and your track needs something, but not knowing where to start or what you should do. This chart will really help you out with that. So again, that's at makebetterrecords.com. Grab the free download of the mixing cheat sheet, and then you'll be on the email list and get lots of good stuff after that as well. All right, thanks for watching. Again, I'm Jordan. Talk to you later.